Born Before 64 is a TV show that asks the vital question, what will we do for the rest of our lives? Kathryn Raaker hosts a show for baby boomers and above, inviting real people to tell real stories about overcoming issues, about facing with courage and triumph the significant obstacles many of us face every day. So let's join Kathryn Raaker for Born Before 64.
Hi, I'm Kathryn Raaker, and welcome to Born Before 64. Our guest tonight is Jim Wolfe, the author of Out of the Rabbit Hole into Life. And I want to welcome you to our show, Jim. Such a nice pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. Happy spring.
Happy spring.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
You know, it's really amazing. You've had such a wonderful life, and you were born before 1964, weren't you?
Definitely. Oh, yeah. Way before 64.
Oh, wow. And you're originally from Kentucky?
Correct.
And you grew up in Bellevue?
No, Newport. In Alexandria. Newport first, then moved to Alexandria.
Okay. And actually the book was written why? Because you weren't an author prior to this, were you?
Never. I've never written a thing
Never
before this.
written a book before?
No, that was my worst subject in school, actually. I'm a math person.
You're a math person. That would mean finance?
Yes.
Something like that?
Right, that's what I like.
So what was the reason why you wrote the book?
Well, I'm hoping that it could maybe be kind of like a self-help book to teach people, to help people get through things, to show them that, there's a lot of struggles in life, but you can do it.
You can
get there, you can get through it.
Because you've gone through a lot. We're going to talk about your life story tonight and talk about the book, because that's really the crux of the books, isn't it?
Right, yes.
Right. So let me ask this question. I hear you're from a big family, is that true?
Right, I'm the oldest of 7.
The oldest is 7, just like me.
6 brothers and sisters.
Right. How many sisters?
Actually, 1 brother and 5 sisters.
Wow. I had 5 brothers and 1 sister.
That's
weird.
Switched off a little bit.
Switched off a little bit, right. So who's your youngest, in the family? What ages are there?
They span from 64 from my oldest sister to 43 from my youngest sister. And she's a twin.
And she's a queen?
She's a twin.
Oh, a twin.
Yeah.
So, was she a queen too?
Her husband thinks she's a queen, I'm sure.
Queen, right. Anyhow, did you get along with your brothers and sisters when you were younger?
We did. There was never any issues. Everything was so, I don't want to say busy, but things were such that we could never get real close because there was too much going on. Too many things for all of us, really.
Now, your mom and dad, what were they like?
Oh,
are they still living?
No, they passed away over 10 years ago, and they were at times good parents, and at times I was disappointed. My father had a drinking problem, and then my mother struggled to keep things together and put up with that and keep us safe and happy, and so, it.
And really, that was, and we've talked on the radio and other places as well. And do you think that had to do with the times that they were
I think
dealing with it?
Oh yeah, it definitely had to do with the times. First of all, what I would say in the middle 50s, and that's when we lived in Newport, where we kind of grew up in Newport.
Right.
That was very common. I would say on the street that I grew up on, alcoholism in a family was normal. And
why would you think that? Why do you think? Because of the war?
I think that had something to do with it. Back then.
Was your dad in the military?
He was for a while.
For a while.
He was in the Marine Corps, and then he left.
Do you think that a lot of what we're seeing today with PTSD and a lot of brain injuries and a lot of depression and a lot of things, suicide, that guys that came back from the Second World War or the Korean War or any of the war, Vietnam War, that they had to deal with so much that we didn't know about.
Right.
And instead of doing another drug, they did the drug of choice at the time,
Right.
which was alcohol.
Right.
Correct?
Correct. My perception was that until the 60s, drug use was very small. Now, as I wrote the book and did some research, I found out that, in fact, in the 50s, morphine and cocaine, things like that, were being used, but more by the elite, not by the people on the street.
It was really expensive.
Yeah, and back then in the middle 50s in Newport, I mean, nobody had any money. I mean, you worried about paying for your kids and having enough food on the table. And I also think that influenced the male species, the fathers, to feel like maybe a failure, and that caused them to drink. And so I think the war, it's when you come back from something like that, I think after Vietnam we realized that veterans need help, psychological help, that what they went through bothers them when they come home. But I didn't see after the Korean War, after World War II, where there was any help there. I mean, if they were shot up in a hospital, sure, you had the VA. But if they were just released as normal people, they still had to put up with the psychological impact.
That's right.
Killing people, watching body parts fly around and things like that. And nobody thought to ask anybody about that.
And nobody talked about it.
Right. It was just, yes.
And anything that was that was psychological, it was like a no-no.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So your dad may have been so pent up with all of this, especially in the Marine Corps.
Well, and I think he was overwhelmed. I mean, 7 kids quick.
That's a lot of kids.
He was the only person in the family that worked. He ended up working 12 hours a day or longer, 6 and 7 days a week.
Wow.
And TV back then, again, I think about 50% of the people or less had TVs. Maybe there were 3 shows in black and white back then, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't remember when color came in, but my point is, what do you do?
There wasn't a lot of entertainment.
Yeah, there wasn't much to do. Radio was AM radio, 3 stations on TV. Landline telephones were party lines.
Right.
Sometimes you couldn't even get on the phone when you needed to. So when you add all that up, what are you going to do? And then and you can't.
Did your mom drink?
No, absolutely not. Nope.
She was a saint.
It got to her from time to time, and sometimes we paid the price. But I would say she probably ultimately, as I grew older and understood things, I would say she was a saint. Yes. I mean, I was very angry at her.
You were angry at her?
Until I hit a certain point, because.
Why were you angry at her?
Well, my father sadly was a bad drunk.
He was abusive?
So he was abusive to everybody, us, her, people on the street, everybody, and she put up with it. Now, what she was really doing is protecting us. And a lady in the 50s and early 60s with 7 kids and no job, that doesn't work. It's different than it is right now.
That's true.
And so, she was a saint because she actually put up with it and kept everything together. But from our eyes, we saw her then as being afraid to do anything about it, to letting it happen and not doing anything.
Right, and that's until you grow up and you see it.
Yes, you don't understand.
You don't understand it, and and sometimes it can be just the opposite, where the other party does fight back, and you see all this as a child, and it's really rough to deal with, especially as the oldest.
Right.
Now, your brothers and sisters may not have had to pay the same price as you did.
As time went on, it got better. And as my father, and maybe, as I say, as he matured, which may be a bad choice of words, but as time went on and the economy got better, and he was a hard worker and he wasn't stupid. It was just, a sign of the time. So he did better as times got better. We moved to Alexandria. We had 7 kids and 2 adults in about a 1,300 square foot 3-bedroom ranch with 1 bathroom. And that was tough. In the early 60s. So and quite frankly, when they passed away, they were still living in that. The house didn't get sold until they were gone. And so myself and all my brothers and sisters lived there until we moved out, until we were old enough to move out. And I think that...
How old were... Let me ask this question. when did they die? They only died 10 years ago, correct?
It might have been a little bit longer than that. I'm embarrassed to tell you. I don't know the exact year right now as I sit here. I've got it in the book, but
yeah, but it was tough for you. Was it tough for you when they died?
It was tougher when my mom passed away than my father. In fact, I was still bitter when he passed away.
So he passed away last?
Yes, no, first. He passed away first, and then Mom passed away about 4 years later.
Wow.
And
did she remarry?
No. No. She would never do that.
She wouldn't have ever done that.
She wouldn't even think about that.
And on that note, we need to take a short break, and you want to give your website or your book?
The website's still being developed, and the book is Out of the Rabbit Hole and Into Life.
Right, and where can people buy it?
Amazon is the best place to go. It's available in most bookstores.
Okay.
And but you find the best deal on Amazon.
All right, and we'll be right back on board B464 after these important messages.